Welcome! This is video 4, the ballot designation. Ballot designations must strictly adhere to the provisions of the California Elections Code. The requirements are very detailed, therefore candidates are encouraged to thoroughly read the information provided in the candidate guide. The ballot designation is printed in upper and lower letters in the Affidavit of a Nominee section on the back page of the petition. Candidates must select from one of the 4 designation types. Option 1 is the name of the candidate's elective office. Option 2 is the term incumbent. Option 3 is the term appointed incumbent or appointed. Option 4 is the principal profession, vocation, or occupation, or the candidate may choose to not list a designation. Let's review the designation types. Option 1 is the name of the candidate's elective office. This is for candidates who are holding elective office at the time of filing nomination documents. There is no word limit for this category. Here are a few examples. With all designations, proof must be submitted that the candidate has the right to use the designation. Therefore, a copy of the official certificate of election must be attached to the ballot designation worksheet. Option number 2 is the term incumbent. The term incumbent is used as a noun to represent the elective office currently held. This is reserved for current Sacramento City Council members and not other elective offices. The term may not be used with other words and must stand alone, as shown. Again, a copy of the official certificate of election must be provided. And option number 3. This is the term appointed incumbent or appointed. Let's first look at appointed incumbent. Appointed incumbent is only for current office holders. As no current office holder is appointed, this option is not applicable to this election. Secondly is appointed. The term appointed applies to appointment to any elective office. An example is provided. With this option, a copy of the official certificate of appointment must be provided. Option 4. This is the principal profession, vocation, or occupation. This is where the regulations get harder. Let's first look at a few definitions, keeping in mind that these definitions are an abridged description of the information in the candidate guide. Always refer to the guide for details. Principal, as used in the Elections Code, means a substantial involvement of time and effort such that the activity is one of the primary, main, or leading professional endeavors of the candidate. Involvement which is only nominal in character does not meet the requirements of the statute. Profession means a field of employment requiring special education or skill and requiring specific knowledge of a particular discipline of learning or science. The labor and skill involved in a profession is predominantly mental or intellectual rather than physical or manual. Looking now at vocation, means a trade, religious calling, or the work upon which a person, in most but not all cases, relies for livelihood and spends a major portion of time. And occupation means the employment in which one regularly engages or follows as the means of making a livelihood. Beyond the definitions, there are other important regulations to keep in mind when choosing option 4 as the designation type. If the candidate is licensed by the state of California to engage in a profession, vocation, or occupation, the candidate is entitled to use that profession, vocation, or occupation as the ballot designation. The license must be current and active as of the date of filing nomination documents. As with other designation types, a copy of the license must be provided. A candidate who engages in multiple professions, vocations, or occupations, and who can provide supporting documentation may list a multiple designation. Whatever wording is selected, the candidate is limited to 3 words. Additionally, multiple designations must be separated by using a comma or slash. No other punctuation is acceptable. And finally, a California geographical name is counted as 1 word, but is limited to the names of cities, counties, and states. Neighborhoods, communities, special districts, or political subdivisions are not considered geographical names under the Elections Code. To get an idea of what is acceptable under the Elections Code, listed are a few examples of professions, vocations, occupations, licensed professions, vocations, or occupations, and a multi-worded designation. Now let's take a look at what is not acceptable under the Elections Code. To do this, I will start with a few more definitions. An avocation is a casual or occasional activity, diversion, or hobby pursued principally for enjoyment and in addition to the candidate's principal profession, vocation, or occupation. A pro forma profession, vocation, or occupation are provisions held by the candidate which consume little or none of the candidate's time and by which, by their nature, are voluntary or for which the candidate is not compensated. And statuses. A status is a state, condition, social position, or legal relation of the candidate to another person, persons, or the community as a whole. It is generic in nature and generally fails to identify with any particular specificity the manner by which the candidate earns a livelihood or spends a substantial amount of time. Additionally, a ballot designation shall not contain commercial identification, such as the specific name of a business, suggest an evaluation of the candidate's qualifications, abbreviate the word retired or use it following words it modifies. Note that the word retired may be used if specific criteria is met. Additionally, designations shall not contain prefixes, the name of any political party, words referring to religious, racial, or ethnic groups, words that expressly contain or imply any ethnic or racial slurs or derogatory language, reference to a specific religious denomination, or any reference to illegal activities. Note that there is an exception for religious clerical titles. To get an idea of what is unacceptable under Elections Code, listed are a few examples of commercial identifications, an evaluation of qualifications, abbreviating the word retired or placing it incorrectly, a pro forma profession, a status, and the mention of a political party. Finally, and once the candidate selects the designation type from the various options, the ballot designation worksheet must be completed. The purpose of the worksheet is for the candidate to provide and prove that he or she has the right to use the designation on the ballot and that it is a proper description of the candidate's elected or appointed office or a profession, vocation, or occupation. On the worksheet, the candidate will fill in the candidate's name, the office sought, select one of the 4 designation types. If option 4 is selected, provide a preferred and alternate designations. And finally, fill in the form to provide support information and attach documentation if appropriate. This information will be used to confirm the validity of the ballot designation. Employers may be contacted to verify data provided. Now, after the nomination documents are filed, the city clerk and city attorney's offices will review the designation for compliance with the California Elections Code. If compliance is not met, reject the designation and consider alternates. The city clerk will promptly notify candidates when a designation has been rejected and/or request additional support materials if the designation cannot be validated with the documentation provided. As time is of the essence, the candidate must immediately respond to the city clerk to resolve any issues. In closing, the ballot designation is one of the most regulatory components of the nomination process. For detailed instructions and illustrations, refer to the Candidate Instructional Guide. This ends the ballot designation video in the informational series. For the next set of instructions, watch video 5, the Candidate Statement.